welcome back to another video, guys. Today the plan is to try and push the bearings out. I had a few people message me asking how to get it out. I've got some old spare socket bits I'm going to use in Halford's Advanced 18mm socket at the top, and I've got a long extension bar and a converter to bring it up to 1/2 inch size, and hopefully this will work. But I'm going to try and drive it from the brass bush side all the way through out the other end, and fingers crossed that's going to work. And then after that I'm going to try and wind a couple of the new bearings in and then hand ream it out without any fancy tooling or anything. So I'm going to get started on that now. Right, you can see I've already started getting some movement now. And there's a little bit of a step developing, so the socket sits nicer there. So hopefully smooth sailing from here, but probably not. Bit of plastic tubing, I think. Right, this should be. This will be it. Right, let's spin it this way. See that? Right, so I've taken a few minutes just to tidy up the mess because so much grease came out. But the brass bush came out, no problem. Roller bush, bearing came out, perfect. And then this plastic collar, it may have gotten mashed up, but it came out easy. What a lot of people forget is that one side is machined larger than the other, so as soon as you get the brass one out and knock the roller bearing out, anything left now just fall out the roller bearing side. I did have a bit of trouble. If you get a proper tool, it sort of holds the brass bushing on the end of it once it's knocked out of its seat, because it's hollow between the two pressings each side, and when it's extending it sits in it, it stops it losing track. I didn't have that because it's a socket, so it lost its track, but I still managed to push the other bearing out, and then because the hole was so big inside, it just fell through with the screwdriver prodding at it. And I did actually steal this idea from Keith Miller. He did a really good video on radius arms recently, but he had the proper tool to remove it. And that's what gave me the idea of using the socket and banging it right through out the other end. So check out his video, Keith Miller, it's really good on that. I just wanted to do it in a budget way for people that are trying to save some pocket money. That's the whole cause of my videos. So next I'm going to try and wind the new bushing and bearing in, and then we'll look at reaming it after. Right, so this is the repair kit I got. It's got no branding on it, it just says mini radius arm repair kit, OE spec. Comes in a box blue with some sort of spoked wheel on it. Sealed back like this. And then you get a new pin, a new roller bearing, new end washers with the oil grease feed to them, 2 more rubber seals, a new plastic tube, and then separately in the box we've got the new brass bushing. And on the brass bushing, first I'm going to fit the brass bushing, and then I'm going to ream it because of all the shavings off it. You don't want it landing in your other bearing or anywhere else. And when you're fitting this, what you want is the grease feed slicers in it to be at the bottom of the radius arm. The bottom of the radius arm is where the knuckle fitting is for your donuts, and then you want the machine slit at the top for the compression to be at the top of the radius arm. And then when you're feeding your bar as well, you want to try and keep it as parallel as possible. I'm just going to jump to the clip now where I've got the threaded bar in, and I'll show you how to keep it perfectly parallel, make it right eye. Now to help keep it parallel, I'm using really thick flat washers from the previous radius arm pin kit, the ones with the oil feed on them, and then nip it tight and then catch it by all 4 angles until you've got it looking parallel all the way around. You don't have to get it 100% on because at a certain point it will start to pull itself straight naturally. And then once you've got it about right, just want to double check that your slice is at the top of the radius arm, and then go for it. Just keep an eye as you're going down, make sure it is staying parallel. Right, so now the bush is in, but it's sort of just parallel to the top, and you'll see it's got the machine does a ledge, and it wants it just below. I've got some washers here I've bowled, and I'm just going to drop them on top here and put the threaded bar back in, just so it gets a little bit of a sort of countersink on it. And then after that I'll start with reaming on it. And I'm just going to pull it tight till it fits flush to the casting. Cool, so that's now in place and ready to be reamed. Got a reamer here. So this is an adjustable one, a variable reamer, so it's between, I think this is 19.2 all the way up to 21.5 millimeters. So that fits perfectly. It's about 21 is what you need, is it meant to be at. But every pin's different, it's still a machine perfect. So what I intend to do is I slack it right back off till it fits, wind it in once, and then work my way up half a turn at a time till it matches the pin itself that it came with. You don't really need to have that special link bar to go to the bottom, because These are tapered, so as soon as you drop them in, it naturally, as you're winding it, will cut with the force of gravity and the centre itself. As long as you're at a nice low pace, you can't really go wrong. You can see slowly dropping at its own casual pace through the force of gravity. One thing you've got to be really careful of, as soon as it starts to drop nearly all the way through the bearing, you've got to be ready to catch it, not let it drop down. Oh, like that, that's what I meant. You'll see you'll finish like a dead smooth, nice clean finish inside there. But first you want to keep checking your pin out, so I've undersized mine, so I should need to run it through again. Yeah, see it's too tight for me to fit, so definitely needs another run through. So I'll step it up by half a turn just to start me off. So it might just need that half a turn. But this is the process I keep repeating until it's complete, half a turn every time. Alright, so I think that should be enough. I've just skipped ahead because I repeat the same process half a turn at a time from minimum all the way up. Alright, clean out everything in there best you can, and now I'm going to test my pin. This should be it. And you don't want them to be completely loose. You want a like, nice sort of stiff fit, almost like when you do ball joints, it's quite a stiff fit. So you see it's going in, but it's supporting itself. And then as long as it wriggles into place, that's a perfect fit. Look at that, there's barely any play. In fact, you can't even feel the play, but it holds perfect. And that's the sort of finish you want on it. Now you've got that, you can now clean out any excess, which I want to do quickly off camera. Flip it round and I'll show you pushing the tube in, the final bearing, and I'll slot the pin in to finish it off. Right, for the next bit we are fitting the plaggy tube and the final roller bearing. Normally when you're fitting these bearings you're meant to put a bit of lube down. Mine are covered in the stuff, the grease and whatnot, so I don't really need to lube it up again. But if you are working with like, I don't know, parts wash ones to dry, just lube the base up just so you can get the bearing started. Now the tube is tapered. The narrow side always goes down to the brass bush side, so pointing down in this case. Slot it in. It's a little bit hard to start off, but if you get it just further enough in, the roller bearing will feed it the rest of the way as you tap it in. Then your roller bearing, it's got two faces. One side's got a flat edge with the part number stamped on it, and the other side has just a round bowl shape edge. And that's the side that's got to go in the round edge and the flat face facing out. So same process I did before. I want to get my threaded bar. So when you straighten it, it's already falling into place, this one is. Just glides in nice and easy, this one. That's nice and in there, it's just below where it needs to be. And then what we'll do is we will fit the pin just to make sure everything's okay. You will sometimes find that the nylon collar is overlapping, so just correct it with your finger inside before you start trying to shove the pin in, otherwise you'll get like a burr on the plastic tube and then you'll never get the pin in properly. So that's that. Carefully feed it in. Oh, that's through and in. Just put my little nipple back in there again. And then, one last final thing you want to try and do to make sure everything's a-okay is just drop a nut on one side. Wind it all the way in until it got to the end. And then what you want to be feeling for is the pin is still able to spin, but you still feel a nice little bit of resistance against it. So, like that, see? It's quite free, but you still feel a nice resistance, and it's all the way around the same sort of feeling. So you know you've done a good job then, basically. I think that's another 10 years or whatever in between doing it again, depending on your mileage. And then the next thing I want to do is I'm going to mask these ends up, and I'm going to give it a quick wire brush down, paint them look pretty, and start assembling them now. So I hope this has helped you guys out. That's the cheapest way I could find to do it. I mean, I used old sockets and bits and bobs to knock out the old bearings. The repair kits for the pair cost £25 plus that £10 reamer there. The only hard thing was finding the specific size I wanted for that reamer. So what we're looking at, £35 I've managed to ream these ready to use again, which is a lot more big saving really compared to getting it done by an engineer. I didn't do this many years ago because reamers like this weren't readily available, so cheap. And it was just one of those things. And these pins have become loads cheaper. Years ago I remember they were quite expensive, they weren't all just a singular one. But there you go, that's how it's done. Hope that helped guys. I'll catch you in the next video. Cheers and goodbye.